Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming to our Humans in Space Challenges startup pitch. My name is Jack Lim. I'm the head of New Portfolio Investment Group at Ballroom, and I've led entire Humans in Space program since we launched last year. I hope you guys liked the video we made it. This is what actually Humans in Space program about it. As you can see the video, we are trying to highlight and deliver the key core message about Humans in Space program, which is those extraordinary pioneers ask questions in a different way. Actually, one of my favorite commercial quote from company Apple, think different. I'll say Ballroom we did, ask different. That's how we began Carrying Space Challenge last year. And look, now we are with one of the most greatest prominent space events in the world. 2022, last year, Carry Space Challenge is about discovering new healthcare technology and opportunity in space domain. And we selected 6 companies last year. But after the first year challenge, we actually learned quite a lot. So for the human presence in space, there's going to be just more than healthcare in space. We need to also consider about the physical place to live in. And there's also going to be human lifestyle in space, and even other numerous factors surrounding it. So for that moment, we start asking even more different questions. That's how we got connected our co-hosts. We started discussing about it. So in our Humans in Space program, there is a company who can throw questions like, can ever human live longer, healthier in space? Or there's another company also ask a question that, can ever humans just enjoy their life just as much as we live on Earth? That's what Humans in Space program about it. And we are here discovering the new answers together. That's why we gather here. And also to perfectly achieve the mission, Ballroom is very lucky to have our partnership co-host, Aurelia Institute at Axiom Space. So in the program, Ballroom is going to be responsible for healthcare in space, and Aurelia Institute is going to be lifestyle in space, and Axiom Space obviously is going to be the next platform in space. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome these 2 co-hosts, Ariel Ekblad from Aurelia Institute and David Zuniga from Axiom Space.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Jack. I'm the CEO and founder of Aurelia Institute and also the GP, so General Partner for Aurelia Foundry Fund. And we are delighted to be co-hosts this year of the Humans in Space Challenge along with Axiom and with Ballroom. Having been a judge last year when it was Care in Space, I'm delighted to have had an opportunity to return this year and see the growth in the program. As Jack has just shared, one of the really special things about this innovation challenge and Ballroom's vision in bringing it about at this inflection point in the space industry is that we're no longer constrained to think about just survival in the space context. We're beginning to also be able to envision a future where more humans are living and working in space, and of course bring along with them their trials and tribulations of human health, and thinking about how can we not just survive, but actually thrive in these environments. So you'll see today, as you listen to the pitches, and we hope you come back each day, tomorrow and on Wednesday as well, you'll see medical devices, therapeutics, future products, and another really special aspect about these startup pitches is the fact that many of these products have a dual use on Earth. Yes, they are space companies, and we're looking at them from a space health perspective, but they have this really powerful application to broader addressable Earth-based markets as well in this spirit of space for Earth. And so with that, we're really excited to welcome the finalists, and we'll hear now from David from the Axiom team about their perspective on the partnership.
Thank you, Ariel. So we're really excited to be here. I'm David Zuniga, Senior Director for Axiom Space. One of the things that I really get excited about is that we have the future innovators coming through this pipeline, and we're getting to see that and experience it firsthand. So last year, we were a partner, and this year, we're a co-host. We're excited to kind of continue that partnership and build it with Ballroom and just build this ecosystem. As we build this ecosystem, we're building a platform in space that's going to help innovation, help propel space, and develop ecosystems for the future, help develop people living in large numbers in space, and really help to develop economies that grow beyond that. And that's really the key goal for us, is make sure that we're developing markets that are profitable and healthy and developed from space. So as we do that, we're excited also to announce that we're issuing $500,000 credit to startup companies so that they can take their missions today, their projects today, and build them into space, into a platform like Axiom or in the ISS. So we want to invite you for future missions, and we want to see that ecosystem continue to grow. So welcome, innovators, and thank you very much for participating.
And good luck to our finalists.
All right, thank you very much. Today is just the beginning of our journey. We'll keep asking questions and discovering the answers together. Thank you very much.
Jack, Ariel, David, for the wonderful introductions to humans in space. Like they said, we are embarking on this amazing journey, and I hope everyone here will join us for the next few days to shape the future of humanity with us. Again, welcome to the first session of the Startup Pitches for the Humans in Space Challenge. My name is David Lee, and I am a manager in the New Portfolio Investment Group at Ballroom. I am co-hosting with Dr. Danielle Delat, the COO and CTO at Aurelia Institute. This is the Startup finalist pitch, where we will hear from 4 of our 15 finalist teams. Teams have 5 minutes to pitch their ideas, and the judges will ask questions for 2 minutes. This is a packed session, so we will have to be strict on time.
And turning now to our finalists, the winner of the startup pitch will receive a $100,000 equity investment for the next stage of their work. We are absolutely thrilled to introduce our esteemed panel of 12 judges: Professor Einor Sawyer at the University of California, San Francisco, Professor Kyu-Sung Kim at Inha University, Dr. Audrey Bertie, Director of MEDAS, Dr. Marissa Rosenberg, Senior Medical Research Engineer at SpaceX, Dr. Ariel Ekwa, CEO of Aurelia Institute, Jacob Scachamera, founder of Monolith, Professor Arun Sharma at Cedars-Sinai, Professor Duck-Ho Kim at Johns Hopkins University, David Zuniga, Senior Director at Axiom Space, Dr. Solange Massa, CEO of EcoAtoms, Junaid Mian, Partner at Space Fund, Dr. Monica Jain, Partner at Wavemaker 360, and last but not least, Kathy O'Donnell from AWS. Today, our startups are pitching their ideas for exploring diverse facets of space exploration and space utilization. First up, we have Neurosantes. Neurosantes is a pioneer in the development of non-invasive bioelectric medical devices with access to people with balance impairments. Please welcome CEO and founder Dr. John Ralston to the stage so he can start his pitch.
Hello, everyone, and thank you to the Humans in Space team. I'm John Ralston, CEO and co-founder at Neurosantes, and we're delivering innovative, non-invasive bioelectronic treatments for neuromotor conditions that otherwise have very limited treatment options. Our first market is age-related balance decline, which affects everyone, including all of you soon, with a $300 billion impact just in the US and Canada. So in space, it turns out balance decline, like many other aging processes, is accelerated, which guides us to our follow-on markets, conditions that accelerate neuromotor decline. So diseases like multiple sclerosis, head trauma, like concussions, and prolonged exposure to microgravity, which is a fundamental medical limitation of all human activities in space. So your balance system matures through a complex series of neuroplastic learning processes that actually continued well into your teenage years, but begins to decline again around the age of 40. And this decline is triggered by age-related changes in the vestibular balance organs in your inner ear, which in turn disrupt your entire balance system. And they're also linked to cognitive decline. But the only current option to restore that disrupted balance are experimental and high-risk vestibular implants. So our flagship product, Nervesta, is the first bioelectronics platform that enables discovery and delivery of treatments for multiple neuromotor conditions. For balance disruptions, we use very low-level electrical stimulation of the vestibular system. Also known as EVS, this is one of several widely studied bioelectronic stimulation techniques. Its applications already include studying neuromotor impairments in astronauts, motion sickness in Air Force pilots, but it hasn't yet been widely commercialized because of the difficulties in assessing individual patient responses to a really wide range of potential stimulation parameters. So that's the problem that Nersantis has solved, using a proprietary wearable sensing technology that we've pioneered to quantify impairments to all of the key components of your balance system and rapidly assess individual responses to a wide range of stimulations in real time as the EVS is being applied. And that unique capability has allowed us to develop a proprietary treatment protocol that only requires 3 20-minute sessions per week for 6 weeks to deliver large and persistent neuroplastic restoration of balance and mobility and reduce fall risks in study populations from 50 to 90 years of age. The treatments can be delivered by minimally trained medical staff, eventually by patients themselves at home, and astronauts in space to proactively restore disrupted neuromotor function and potentially slow the related cognitive decline. So for space applications, our innovations enable the development and delivery of personalized treatments, not just for in-mission care, but also for pre-mission conditioning and post-mission recovery, with seamless integration into mission workflows and native integration into onboard systems. We're getting ready to begin sample deliveries of our platform as a service solution by the end of this year for pilot deployments and pivotal studies to support regulatory approval. With our very profitable revenue sharing business model, securing an 8% share of our serviceable addressable market corresponds to a $1 billion annual revenue opportunity. On the competitive front, there are no other easy-to-use solutions that have been shown to help recover balance and mobility over such a wide age range with no adverse side effects. We've now raised $3 million from investors and non-dilutive grants. We've graduated from the M-Hub MedTech Accelerator in Chicago. We've completed product development and multiple live on-site pilot deployments with senior living partners. For space applications, our collaborations include the Canadian Space Agency, who've awarded us $380,000 in Deep Space Healthcare Challenge grants, and the Mayo Clinic's Aerospace Medicine and Vestibular Research Lab with a parallel investment from Mayo Clinic Ventures. Our financial roadmap highlights opportunities for both large and profitable revenue growth and significant investor returns. Companies led by an accomplished and multidisciplinary team and advisory board with multiple industry partners supporting all of our key commercial initiatives. And finally, our vision for Nersantis is to become the dominant platform for bioelectronics treatment discovery and delivery, leveraging the ease of use and the portability and the reconfigurability of our Navesta device to enable hyper-personalized neuroplastic treatments here on Earth and in space. Thank you.
Thank you, John, for your wonderful pitch. Judges, you now have 2 minutes to ask questions to John. Yes?
Okay, I will start. I'm quite familiar with galvanic vestibular stimulation. I'm not sure I've heard it called electric stimulation before, so I'm not sure if it's exactly the same thing, but one of the biggest challenges there is that you're using a single electrode to affect the full vestibular system, which has many components, so you're just kind of, you know, sending everything you got at that organ system. So how do you work within that? What's kind of your theory? What are you trying to do with the stimulation?
So first of all, the term electrical vestibular stimulation is used pretty synonymously with galvanic vestibular. So GVS, EVS, you'll find almost interchangeable. You're right, often it's a single pair of electrodes. If you stop by our booth out here, though, you'll see we have a very unique 4-electrode configuration. We can actually apply different stimulation to the left and the right vestibular organs. Impairments like this are rarely symmetrical, right? We've done a lot of work down in deep in the bowels of the specific neuroplastic processes. And what I can say, there are at least 4 real genuine neuroplastic recovery processes that we trigger, different for everyone depending on the actual impairment profile. But you can, the least likely, because it's hard to do, is regenerate lost stereocilia in the otoliths and semicircular canals. The three that do contribute are just recovering synaptic gain between the ends of the stereocilia and the vestibular nerve. Those are the fastest synapses in the whole body, right? Recovering the quality of the conductivity along the vestibular nerve itself. And if you do EVS with a head inside a functional MRI, you can actually image the neuroplastic recovery, real axonal generation in multiple sensory and motor circuits.
All right.
It's really a cool technology.
I think that's going to be it for the Q&A session today, John. Thank you again for your wonderful pitch. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the judges. Next, we have Paprika Lab. Paprika Lab is a startup specializing in researching and developing wearable radiation measuring devices. They develop wearable dosimeters that are soft contact lenses worn in the eye and flexible patches attached to the skin. Please welcome Dr. Jung-In Kim, the CEO of the company, to the stage.
We are very excited to introduce our company and product. I'm Jung Kim, developer and founder of Paprika Lab. I also work as a medical physicist at Seoul National University, South Korea. Our company focuses on the radiation detector and radiation therapy product. According to ICRP, radiation work have a limit 50 millisievert and general population limit 1 millisievert annually. Astronaut and flight attendant has a higher dose limit because there are various radiation sources and high exposure level in space. The radiation monitoring system in space have been studied, but there is no available active type personal dosimeter because, it is hard to predict precisely radiation exposure in space. So our mission is to protect the spatial radiation with a precise wearable device with accurate measurement. We have our solution includes two essential products. One is smart cloud for lens dosimetry, smart cloud code for skin dosimetry in specific area interested. Both detectors transmit data to mobile application for tracking and data analysis. Our core technology uses the perovskite for radiation detector and self-powered battery. Signal process uses the wireless NFC. Perovskite is a suitable dosimeter material in space environment because it has high power conversion efficiency and lightweight, low cost, and high resistance radiation, thermal stability, and so on. Regarding the business, we are target both Earth radiation measurement market and space near Earth orbit. Our marketing begins with medical and industrial work in Earth. Our B2B and B2G business model serve the hospital and power plant and government entity. We sell dosimeter and we offer the subscription service. We will expand our business model to B2C after initial model is well applied, because our lens and thyroid and breast and testicle are very precious. This is our business milestone. For Earth dosimeter, we completed field test in 2024 and launched in 2026. And finally, we will enter the global market in 2027. For space dosimeter, we will complete field test up to 2026 and launch in 2027. Our goal is $19 million revenue in 5 years. We secured budget for field test, Earth field test, but need more for global expansion and space testing. I know weight is money for payload. Our dosimeter is less than 2 gram volume. Compared to existing dosimeter, our dosimeter provides low cost and better accuracy, real-time monitoring, and user convenience without any extra readout system. Typically, commercial dosimeter require the very large and very expensive readout system additionally. Our team composed in expert in radiation medicine and medical physics, Monte Carlo simulation, dosimetry, and material. We currently employ the essential 5 employees. Additionally, we established the advisory group with a professional organization to spin about dosimeter into spacer. I know that Korean government also interested in the space industry. Our dosimeter supported by the government and venture capital. We collaborate with the global research team also. Especially we have 6 domestic patents and 1 US domestic. We are building a patent portfolio for advanced dosimeter. And research on the early stage dosimeter have been published in paper. We are preparing the advanced publication for advanced dosimeter. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Jung-in. And now we have 2 minutes for questions from the judges. I think I see one right in front.
Hi, thank you very much for that great presentation, and I appreciate the competitive landscape. I think we talked about that several times in the semifinals, so thank you for that. I was a little interested in knowing whether the advantage you showed in the competitive landscape depends on the combination of the 2 sites being monitored, or would either site have an advantage as well, or do you need the combination of eye and thyroid?
I understand exactly. No, you worry about the calibration, the dosimeter?
I was just wondering, are you planning to always use them in combination?
Sorry.
The eye measure and the thyroid measure. Is it important that you use them in combination? Does it give you a synergistic power?
We can apply our dosimeter independently because someone worry about where the organ, worry about that, and then we can apply which dosimeter applied.
Okay. And the other quick one was any earth analogs you're considering? I'm an orthopedic surgeon by training, so we get a lot of exposure, and there are other occupations where you could actually test this in earth analogs.
Sorry.
Are there other applications for Earth
clearly,
analogs?
Sorry?
Are there other applications for Earth analogs?
Other application? Actually, our dosimeter can modify it depend on the user wish, and we are open on our dosimeter also monitoring system in environment, the space environment also. Yeah. Sorry.
I saw in your market analysis slide you have more than $600 billion in space, market. How did you get, number?
Actually, our evaluated our market size report to the some report, publicated report.
All right. Thank you so much, Jung-in. Thank you for a wonderful pitch. All right. Next, we have Lumen Bioscience. Lumen Bioscience plans to produce genetically engineered spirulina to provide on-demand biomedicines, protein nutrition, and remediation of environment for long-term space exploration. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Cole Krieger, the Vice President of Business Development at Lumen.
Hello, my name is Cole Krieger. It's a pleasure to be with you all today. I'm representing Lumen Bioscience. We are a clinical stage biotech company developing drugs for many prevalent diseases around the world for human use on Earth currently. In this program, we'll talk a little bit about the goals that we have for immediate space flight remediation of different diseases, as well as long-term space flight remediation, how we look to be integrated. It's a fun little ChatGPT artwork I did looking at spirulina in space and our futuristic space station. The way we see it is that there is a long-term problem if we are going to travel to the moon, to the Mars. Long-term space flight requires biomedicine in space, as well as environment reoxygenation and typical just environment remediation. So what we have and what we kind of fell into because of our technology itself is our solution, which turns out to be the platform that we've been perfecting over the last 6 years, and that is genetically engineered spirulina. You've probably had spirulina yourself. If not, you can go down to the smoothie shop, and I'm sure that they can sell you a smoothie drink real quick. Spirulina itself is very high in protein content. This enables it to be a good host cell to produce different types of biotherapeutics and small molecules. On top of this, it's great because spirulina feeds on human oxygen, well, CO2. And on top of that, everything that human waste, that is what human spirulina feeds on. And its outputs are oxygen, as well as it can act as a water purification system itself. But in the near term, we have our technology, that is spirulina. We were recently featured on the cover of Nature Biotechnology for the therapeutics that we've been able to develop today. We are the only company on Earth and in space that can use spirulina to produce any protein of interest. We have very broad patent coverage, and while there are other competitors when it comes to CO2 recycling, there are none that can both recycle CO2 and human waste while also producing therapeutics that may prevent diseases, prevent infection, or anything that astronauts may need while traveling in space. So what we are proposing is to take our platform, our Lumen spirulina, and put it up into space to see how the spirulina grows. Spirulina requires, like I said, CO2, some nitrates, water, and most importantly, light. Right here in the middle of the screen, we have an example of hundreds of bioreactors that are optimizing the environment to increase the yield or the amount of biomass, the therapeutic that we are producing. What we don't know is how does that interact, how does that yield change in space? If we're going to operate these, it's good if we are able to perfect what that looks like. We already have a multi-year collaboration with Google who takes these outputs of these different manufacturing growths and perfects it. If it's not used as a therapeutic, in the meantime, it can be used as an edible nutrition supplement. If Mark Watney had this on Mars, he could have potatoes and spirulina. Be a perfect little combination of both nutrition and calories. And who knows, maybe he could have spent a few more years up there, in theory. So how do we do this? What's the near term? What's the long-term solution? In the near term, we have therapeutics that are in development right now, are in human clinical trials, that directly relate to astronauts and the issues that they currently have. Now, I can't speak about that right now publicly. I can speak to judges or I can speak to other individuals on the exact programs that we have in development. But what I can say is that it is a human issue that affects some 5 million or so Americans a year. It affects even a broader population globally, and it affects almost every single astronaut that goes into space, and we have a solution for the near term.
All right, thank you, Cole. I think your time's up.
Time's
up.
Thank
you for your amazing pitch. We'll now hand it over to the judges and open the floor for questions. Yes. Dr. Jane.
So you talked about the bioreactors that you're using, and you don't quite know what the mass production would be in space. But what is the energy requirement of those bioreactors plus all of the light? I understand that it's recycling CO2 and human waste and things like that, but the energy and space requirements could be quite significant. So if you could elaborate on that, please.
Yeah, so as far as the exact energy requirements, I'm not the right person to talk to, but I can get you an answer on that. What we use today are LED lights. They require very little power to go into them. We actually manufacture in Seattle, Washington right now, downtown, just with basic hookups from the wall.
All right. Dr. Sawyer?
Yeah, thank you again for the nice presentation. You said these are genetically engineered spirulina, and this may seem a naive question, but what would prevent mutation on board, maybe under the influence of radiation or microgravity that you might not have anticipated yet? So basically asking, what about the unintended consequences?
Sure. As far as in space mutations, that is something that we'd like to look into too, if we've never sent anything up and tried to create a therapeutic. As far as mutations in our current platform, because we're making genetic edits to the genome itself, when we're creating a therapeutic, it's very stable. And we get there's very little mutation, even in hundreds of different runs for current products.
All right, thank you, Cole, for your amazing presentation. Everybody, let's give a round of applause for Cole. Last but not least, we have Lambda Vision. Lambda Vision is developing the first protein-based artificial retina to restore meaningful vision for patients who are experiencing advanced retinal degenerative diseases, including retinitis pigmentosa and age-related muscular degeneration. Please welcome Dr. Nicole Wagner, CEO of Lambda Vision, to the stage as she pitches her idea.
Thank you. My name is Nicole Wagner, and I am the President and CEO of Lambda Vision. Lambda Vision is a University of Connecticut spin-off company that is developing a protein-based artificial retina to restore vision to the millions of people blinded by end-stage retinal degenerative diseases. Now, while there are some treatments available for these diseases, most of these treatments only slow the progression of the disease, and patients are going blind. What you'll see there on your right-hand side is a picture of our founder, Bob Burge, and then on the left-hand side, what the current state of the art is for people with these diseases. It's barely enough to distinguish between light and dark, and this is just not good enough. Lambda Vision solution is a small, simple, flexible implant that can be placed in the back of the eye through a simple surgical procedure similar to a retinal detachment procedure, which increases the adoption potential of the technology by retinal surgeons. The implant is going to replace your function of your damaged rods and cones of the eye or your light sensing cells to provide high resolution functional vision for these patients. And then most importantly, we are leveraging microgravity and low Earth orbit to produce high quality artificial retina thin films. So how does it work? Right now, your eyes are taking the light in the room, converting it into a signal that can be sent to the optic nerve into the brain. If you have retinitis pigmentosa or macular degeneration, those cells that take the light, your photoreceptor cells, they start to die. Then your eyes become incapable of taking light energy and sending it to the brain. What we do is we put our artificial retina where those cells would exist. In response to light, the protein is going to pump protons towards the bipolar ganglion cells, which then sends a signal to the optic nerve in the brain. Now, we are going to start with the initial orphan indication of retinitis pigmentosa and follow on to the larger market of macular degeneration. That's about 200,000 people for retinitis pigmentosa in the US and Europe. We're going to look at just those blinded by the disease, so that's about 20,000 RP patients, or about 10% of that patient population. And if you assume a very modest reimbursement structure of over $100,000 per eye, that's over $4 billion for retinitis pigmentosa alone. Now, we do know we're going to need to work with leading eye institutes in the US and Europe, and then we do anticipate partnering with an ophthalmic or biological strategic as we get closer to clinical trials. There are a number of competitors in this space. I'm not going to go through each one of them, but there's a device-based prosthetics, and then there's the therapeutic-based devices, or therapeutic-based approaches. But what I really want to talk about here is that our technology, it doesn't require battery packs or goggles. It provides high-resolution vision, and it is going to help patients regardless of the gene type, unlike a gene therapy where it's only treating a subset of that patient population, to provide high-resolution vision. Now, our development plan, we started back in 2016 with the Cases Boeing Challenge, with Mass Challenge. Over the past 7 years, we have flown 8 times to the International Space Station. Our focus in the next couple of years is going to be on scale-up and GMP production using the ISS National Labs. And as we transition towards GMP production and clinical trials, we will be looking at steady state production on these commercial LEO destinations. Our team, it consists of myself and Dr. Jordan Greco, both graduates from Bob Burge's lab. We also have a talented group of board of directors, a number of advisors and consultants, both from regulatory, manufacturing, and surgery, retinal surgery. Key employees with engineering and biology expertise. And then, of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention our partner, Space Tango, who has been helping us conduct these experiments on the International Space Station. Today, we have a little over $10 million of funding into the company, largely from non-dilutive sources. You can see a number of them there. And importantly, of that funding, $7.7 million has come from NASA to support 8 missions to the International Space Station to look at the effects of microgravity on how the protein is deposited on this scaffold. Over those 8 missions, we have been able to demonstrate the fluidics, operational controls, with good automation, and we have been able to generate multiple 200-layer thin films in a microgravity environment. Now, this is all important because this has a lot of broader impacts for both our technology and then other technologies looking to be produced in microgravity. You can see a couple of examples there for bacteriodopsin. We have the artificial retina, data storage, photovoltaics, and then the additional opportunities in biosensing, anything that requires biomanufacturing or GMP, good manufacturing practices. So I'm going to close that by saying through Lambda Vision's artificial retina development, we are pioneering the way in space that will pave the future for many future industries. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nicole. We now have 2 minutes for questions from our judges. And I assume, right here.
Nicole, could you talk a little bit more about the scalability of the production of your particular device, and in particular how microgravity LEO could facilitate the scalability of that production?
Right, I mean, right now, the way that we're thinking about scalability, there's a couple of different ways, right? So we can scale this by flying multiple boxes of these artificial retinas to space. I also think about scale as in reducing the mass and the volume thrown if you're looking at a price per kilogram flown model. But what is really important is by looking at this initial orphan indication, we have a much smaller patient population. So we're not going to start off by doing hundreds of thousands of these. We're looking at hundreds, maybe 1,000 to start. And then as we improve through that scaling cycle, especially as we move towards macular degeneration, thinking about maybe even, maybe it's partnering with a CLD or something like that, where we actually make much larger boxes to manufacture these.
Thank you. And question from here.
Yeah, thank you for that nice presentation. I had a quick question, just because protein degradation is a reality, about the lifespan of this and if there would need to be a recharge procedure, but also how that could be accelerated in the environment with radiation.
Right, so this protein is incredibly robust. The protein that we use is bacteriorhodopsin. This protein is actually, it's a halophile, so it's a salt-loving organism found in a very, very extreme environment. So an environment where there's high salt, high light, low oxygen. So it's really, really stable. In fact, it has a melting temperature which exceeds 85 degrees Celsius. So it's really, really a robust protein. In terms of degradation, what we've done is we have implants that we've generated today, implants that have been generated 8 years ago, and we can actually see that structural protein profile that shows that the protein is still stable. Additionally, there's been a number of publications. This protein's been studied since the early 70s. So there's this, it's a very well-characterized protein as well.
All right. Thank you so much, Nicole.
Thank you.
All right, as we wrap up today, we want to congratulate all of our finalists today. I have to say that as a longtime watcher of the space industry, as I know I'm in a room full of peers here, it is absolutely incredible seeing what used to be science fact, or used to be science fiction, become science fact, and I am so excited to see all of these ideas develop. So as we wrap up today, we want to thank our incredible judging panel for their expertise. Of course, wish all our finalists continued success on their journey, and we look forward to seeing you for the next couple days.
Yes, join us tomorrow again at 5 p.m. and Wednesday at 4 p.m. and tomorrow at 2 p.m. for our research finalist pitches. And thank you everyone for coming. We'll see you tomorrow.